computers that let us have draft after draft virtually with ease. So he brings down a big sheaf of the Legendarium, which will become the Silmarillion. How many of you read the Silmarillion? Very good. And what then Christopher would edit as the 12 volumes of the history of the peoples of Middle-earth. All these years Tolkien was running. So he gives Unwin a big sheaf of the Legendarium. And Unwin is so taken aback, he says, "Oh my God, this is like reading the phone book in Elvish." It's awful. Date, fact, event, person, character. No plot, no characterization, just endless chronicle. We want more hobbits. So in 1939, Tolkien set himself to the task of working this little accidental, as it were, adventure story into a major quest that would fit within the Legendarium. So he worked on it from 1939 to 1954, 15 years, often despairing, convinced that, of course, Oxford would be bombed. As you know, the Germans were civilized enough not to bomb major art centers, but Oxford was a major car manufacturing city, and so it was thought to be a likely hit. And of course, as at Coventry, another manufacturing center, a mishit brought down Coventry Cathedral, and it would bring down Oxford just as easily. So why keep writing? It's all going to go up in flames. The one person who would not let him quit was C.S. Lewis. Lewis says, Tollers, that was his name. You know, the British have these multiple initials. John, Ronald, Rule, Tolkien, and no one ever calls anybody about that. You know, Clive, Staples, Lewis, isn't that an awful name to hang on a kid? He was Jack. You can't quit. You have a masterpiece that you must not quit. Tolkien was the ever dilatory scholar and student. He couldn't let anything go unless it was perfect. And so they would have to virtually drag away from Tolkien the successive versions until they got the final of the Lord of the Rings. And every work he wrote had several appendices. We had to tell more of the story he didn't have time to tell. And so in '54 it was published, to astonishment. It became a sudden bestseller. There developed a huge Tolkien cult following when, in the early 1960s, it was issued in paperback in this country. That's when my wife and I first read it. And all of a sudden, you'd see these great billboards. J.R.R. Tolkien is Hobbit for me. Long live Frodo, or Frodo lives. And of course the word got around that Tolkien had written The Lord of the Rings with such brilliance because he was stoned. Already the drug cult had started. And Tolkien becomes an overnight celebrity. He never takes advantage of it. He hated the fact that he was now on everybody's radar. Ugly Americans like me, and maybe even some of you, would wind up in Oxford, come to his home, and with their telescope lens would go to the front picture window and begin to look at and snap pictures of the Tolkien family. Imagine the rudeness of it. He resented deeply the way in which most of it was eaten up in taxes. One year when he wrote in for his tax payment, he said, "Not a penny for Concorde." Remember the Concorde? The unbelievable airlines that what would take an hour from London to New York, or a little over.
4 hours, I think. 4 or 5
Short,
hours.
it was
Very
short. 2 hours maybe,
2 hours.
yeah. Not a penny for Concorde. Because Tolkien was worried about the way in which modern technology is destroying space. I was so heartened to hear that you don't allow your students to have smartphones. They don't bring iPads, I'm told, or laptops to your classes. At Baylor, there's a movement I'm a part of where none of us allow either of those as well. It's been proven without question that the better learning occurs with the old-fashioned method of the text before you, marginalia entered, and old-fashioned note-taking. See, the temptation of a computer is you're going to try to get down everything, which means it's just all flowing through your mind and you're recording it. Anyhow, Tolkien said that between the conception of an idea and the realization of an idea, there ought to be a long space between, so that only gradually you move toward the completion of the idea and the fact. Look at our very term, computers crunch numbers. He believed they crunched time and space. All things really valuable for Tolkien take time and space. Friendships are formed only over long decades. Marriages in this country don't last because we conceive of a marriage as an extended date. You know, not as a long growing together in mutuality and self-giving. I had a student when I taught at Regent College in Vancouver who was going back to China for an arranged marriage. And my students there were just horrified when they said, well, you don't even love her. He said, no, but I'm about to learn how. In other words, I'm about to make a marriage with this woman I don't even know, I don't even have any romantic relationship. I'm about to make a lifelong endeavor, which is a marriage. And so he becomes this great celebrity. He goes on writing in the Legendarium. And he does do quite remarkable thing. He takes early retirement, not because he's exhausted from scholarship and learning and teaching, but because his wife had paid the price of Tolkien's work. To be honest here, Tolkien left her, Baylor, to the rearing of the children. She could have been a concert pianist, and she gave up her career to raise those children. And then Tolkien did something that is really almost unforgivable. He forced her to become a Roman Catholic. He demanded that she become Catholic. She never got over it. She never ceased to have resentment against him for the way he coerced her life in many ways. But he felt so much responsibility for what he had done that they retired to Bournemouth, which is a seacoast town with no culture to it, but he wanted her to be in a place he knew she would be really happy. And they lived there until she died. Basta, as the Hispanics say. So ask me some questions about what I said. Make protests, offer amendments to the minutes.
This makes me think, so I've grown up being a Roald Dahl fan, and he had a background where he was in the war as well.
Who's this man?
Roald Dahl, who wrote
James
and the Giant Peach, and I'm curious, how do you think people like him, like Tolkien and Dahl, could have such really tragic, awful starts in wars and yet reach so well to children?
I don't know. I agree with you. Dahl is a very important figure. I don't have an easy answer. Some of my friends regard Lewis, as actually Tolkien did, as an unreformed Ulster Protestant, i.e. a sort of evangelical who looked for shortcuts. Tolkien, as I say, I'm an equal opportunity offender, despised the Narnia Chronicle. So I leave now. Because he didn't think it drew out of a rich, mythic, linguistic text. We have Father Christmas appear in the world of Narnia. Well, that doesn't fit at all, given the world that's supposed to be imaginative. And so Tolkien would not take any shortcuts. And I think that meant for him the war registered so deeply that he wanted to write a book, this is important, I didn't say this, that would be like Beowulf, and that is not to be overtly Christian. Remember, the whole action of Lord of the Rings is set far before the Christian era. It's a pre-Christian era. But like Beowulf, it is silently imbued with deeply Christian things, the greatest of which is the mercy shown upon Gollum. See, in the ancient world, to forgive and pity someone who doesn't deserve it is to do a radical injustice to them. And Frodo, remember the single line that is the most important of all in the Lord of the Rings is when Gandalf tells Frodo the full story of how Bilbo got the ring. Remember, Bilbo already has begun to lie about it. That's the greatest horrible effect upon power. You'll start to cheat. You'll start to say you got it by legitimate means when he got it by accident, really happened upon it. When he learns that Bilbo had the chance to kill Gollum, but didn't, when Gollum was trying to kill him, when Gollum deserved to die, he says, Frodo says, didn't kill him? Well, he deserved to die. And Gandalf says, many that deserve to die do not. And many that deserve to live die. Shall you determine the difference? And then comes to me, this is the leitmotif of the great epic, as in an opera. It appears in all 3 volumes, the only phrase that appears in all 3 volumes. And poor dumb Peter Jackson doesn't have the faintest idea of why this line should be the same. The fate of Gollum may rule. The mercy of Bilbo may rule the fate of many. The fact that Bilbo showed mercy when this man deserved to be killed will rule. Of course, he's using the fate in the ultimate, oldest of the ultimate outcome. Shall rule the ultimate outcome of many. That he didn't give him justice. He gave him mercy. Utterly undeserved. That is what makes the final victory possible. Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking of talking about belong to feet and how the transformation or aiming towards some greater end.
Bible tell us, the ultimate goal.
Right. And I still remember the first time reading the Return of the King and getting to the end and being so sad and demoralized by multiple aspects of the ending. One, Frodo being unable to destroy the ring himself, 2, the scouring of Shire and all the loss of the innocence of the Shire, and then Frodo being himself unable to reintegrate into the life that he left. So, I don't want to ask you to diagram it, but but where do you see the trajectory of the otherworldly success in the world there?
Yeah. Could I repeat just briefly what she said, because it's so important. At the end, Frodo fails. He says, I do not choose what I came to do, the ring is mine. I was at Marquette giving a lecture. And my host there said, would you like to see the original manuscript of The Lord of the Rings? You can imagine my response. Marquette, with great wisdom, bought just the manuscript for Lord of the Rings for $10,000. Of course, it's worth multiplied millions today. I went straight to the ending, and with my grubby little fingers, they didn't make me wear gloves. I opened it to that very passage, and I saw where Tolkien had lined through, you get the difference, I will not do what I came to do, the ring is mine, as over against I choose not to do what I came to do, the ring is mine. Hear the difference? There was a modicum of freedom still left in Frodo. Though he had been so overwhelmed by the power of the ring, he'd become a virtual ventriloquist for the ring. The ring was speaking through him. But yet Tolkien, as a Christian, wanted to say, even at that point, Frodo is still responsible. I do not choose to do what I can. And so he fails. And of course, that's what the Christian life is called. In some sense, a failure. We never live up to our full calling, unless we're saints. And secondly, he would not have done it without Gollum. Had Gollum been killed, not only at the beginning, but been trusted all the way to lead them up to the cracks of Mount Doom, it would never have succeeded. And of course, Gollum bites the ring off Frodo's finger. And that has all kind of earlier, and dances the jig backwards into the cracks of Mount Doom, where it is consumed. Not by Frodo casting it there as he came to do, but by it happening to Frodo. Watch how the passive voice is used in Tolkien. It's amazing. He rarely uses the active voice when good is being done, because the good is done only often in spite of us, and it therefore is something that happens to us more than something we ourselves.
Let it be done unto me.
Excuse me?
Let it be done unto me.
Yeah. Not I will do. Not I will do. Let it be done. Fiat. And then thirdly, he is so exhausted from the battle, he cannot go home and reap the glory of their victory. Totally exhausted, totally wiped out. When they come back to the scouring of the Shire. By the way, Peter Jackson said, that's a part of the book I don't like. That's why I didn't film it. It's like saying, I don't like the fifth act of King Lear. Tolkien was astonished when people pointed out to him the quasi-pacifism of his book. How often the hobbits, the company refuses to kill when it has the opportunity to. And so Frodo says to his company, retake the Shire, but do not kill any hobbit that has gone over to the other side. Spare all hobbits. Then he says remarkably, as for me, I will kill no one. That's amazing. A book about death and killing, I will kill no one. My students, to my surprise, get 2 of the 3 forms that the scouring of the Shire takes. 3 things that triumphed under the rule of Saruman and his henchmen. They've been turned into a gigantic bureaucracy of total government control of everyone's toenails and fingernails, virtually. It had been turned into a huge manufacturing, air-fouling, machine-driven industry complex where the air is unbreathable. My students all get the first 2. See if you get the 3rd. All the pubs have been shut. You all get it? So they have to scour the Shire of this awful shutting down of a pub, a public house. Baylor students, they're not holy and pure, but they missed that one. Who can tell me why that was a real evil comparable to the first 2? The shutting down of the pubs.
Can't have any inklings.
Well, that would be one. That's right. They go to the Eagle and Child, Burden Baby, to drink beer and to smoke pipes and to have conviviality. Yeah.
and freedom of speech and ability to exchange ideas and.
A little bit louder, Charlie.
I'm sorry?
I didn't quite hear you.
Oh, yeah, closing down the public houses, there's no exchange of ideas, there's no,
Yeah, the public house is a place, also we just go to enjoy our
Right,
neighbors, to
yeah.
have fun. In a totalitarian state, that's what's outlawed. You cannot have fun, because fun cannot be coerced. It's free. It's joyful. I love Chesterton on the matter of alcohol. He says, we've come to treat alcohol as a medicinal. You know, how to kill the pain and to get over sorrow. When alcohol is a convivial. But the psalmist says, why maketh the heart merry? Exactly, exactly. So the shutting down the pubs is the destruction of joy, delight, in your neighbor. No one goes to a pub to get knee walking drunk, killing a fifth. You go there to drink not hard liquor, but beer, and to enjoy the company of your friends. Good. Yes.
Have you spoken at all about mythopoeia?
No,
Can you
let's
talk about that a little bit?
Yes, could you, please? You all have copies of that? Thanks for coming. Thanks for this. Oh, yeah. Some of you know the story that C.S. Lewis, through a strange set of events, had largely lost his faith. He had ceased calling himself a Christian, though he never lost his interest in